Welcome to Capital Sins. I'm your host, Mel, and today we're exploring a case that shook the affluent community of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. A case that reveals how secrets can shatter even the most perfect facade. On March 30th, 2000, in an upscale, peaceful neighborhood in Upper Marlboro, Clara Pantazes, a devoted wife and mother of two, was preparing to leave for work at the bail bondsman business she ran with her husband, Dean, affectionately known as Dino. Married for 2 decades, Clara and Dino had it all: success, luxury, and a seemingly unbreakable bond deeply rooted in their Greek heritage. But beneath the surface, the risks associated with their profession were always present, lurking quietly in the background. But that morning, something sinister awaited Clara inside her own garage. As she opened the door, a stranger emerged from the shadows, confronting her face to face. 3 gunshots shattered the silence, and in moments, Clara lay lifeless in the place she felt safest, her home. Police struggled to piece together what happened. Clara had no known enemies, but the business she ran with her husband certainly did. Clara and Dino's love story had begun romantically decades earlier. Dino had spotted Clara from across the room at a wedding, instantly certain she was the one. After Clara's brief and troubled first marriage in her early 20s, Dino became her knight in shining armor, providing comfort and stability. In 1979, Dino dramatically proposed to Clara on a beach, hiring a skywriting plane to profess his love. They married the following year and soon welcomed a son, later adding a daughter. Together, they balanced their business roles perfectly. Clara managed operations, the brains, while Dino, carrying a gun daily due to the dangerous nature of their profession, provided the muscle. The Pantazes family had been a fixture in Maryland's bail bonds industry since the 1960s, with Dino's family, James, a Greek immigrant, passing down the trade to his sons. The business brought immense wealth and prestige, enabling lavish trips, expensive cars, and an upscale life in Upper Marlboro. But beneath their outward success lay family tensions and rivalries, accumulating when a family property mysteriously burned down in the early 1980s. Police arrived to find no signs of forced entry, no electronics, jewelry, or guns taken. But Clara's purse, cell phone, and Jeep Cherokee were missing. The Jeep was recovered hours later in Northeast DC, with a group of teenagers joyriding through the streets, unaware they'd stumbled into a murder investigation. Prince George's County detectives questioned the girls about how they got the Jeep and later released them. Police declined to comment on what they learned during their interviews. None of the teenagers were charged in the slaying, but the 15-year-old behind the wheel was cited for driving without a license. Dino Pantazes, the grieving husband, was questioned next. Dino insisted to investigators that he and Clara were happy, stating that he and his wife were Greek, and Greeks probably got the lowest divorce rate of any nationality. They were very happy and would hold hands walking down the street. Detectives had no leads and struggled to identify a suspect. Days passed without significant leads until an anonymous tipster known only as Mimi stepped forward, breaking the case wide open. Mimi, whose real identity was Kevin Young, a sex worker, claimed that one of her regular clients had asked her to commit a murder for hire to silence his own wife. Mimi provided police with chilling evidence: a typed note with directions and the garage access to the Pantazes' home. And shockingly, the client Mimi knew as Steve was none other than Dino Pantazes himself. But Dino, clever and cautious, initially denied knowing Mimi, even when confronted directly. He claimed innocence, even as detectives uncovered phone records linking him repeatedly to another sex worker, Jermell Chambers, a heroin addict with a long criminal record. Investigators tracked Chambers down in jail, where she confessed a horrifying story. Dino told Chambers his boss's wife was going to divorce him and was sleeping around with his best friend, and she was going to get everything he had. He would pay someone almost whatever they asked for to do her. Chambers later testified that after Dino paid her $5,000 in cash, wrapped in a money wrapper, they continued to discuss the murder. One evening in February, Dino asked how much more would it take. Chambers replied $6,000 more. On March 29th, they met in his truck and agreed to meet again the next morning at a convenience store. Early the next morning, Dino drove her to his house on Kenfield Lane in Upper Marlboro, arriving around 7:45 a.m. He opened the garage door, invited her in, and pointed to a gun on the top of the refrigerator. He handed her gloves and instructed her to sit on a milk crate behind the cooler in the garage. It was only then when Chambers realized for the first time that there was no boss. Dino's wife was the target. He told her Clara would be out before 10 o'clock because she had an appointment. When he mentioned Clara was in the shower, Chambers saw through the lie. She knew then that Dino, Steve, was orchestrating the entire thing. Dino left Chambers in the garage and closed the door. She later told investigators she couldn't leave because she didn't know how to reopen the door. When Clara appeared, a confrontation unfolded. Clara asked what Chambers was doing in her home. Chambers replied that a man named Steve had let her in. Begging Clara to let her leave without calling police, Chambers panicked when Clara threatened to make the phone call. Begging Clara to let her leave without calling police, Chambers panicked when Clara threatened to make the call and fired 3 fatal shots. She then staged the scene to look like a robbery. Clara never stood a chance. The betrayal was staggering. Dino, who'd once hired a plane to profess his love for Clara with skywriting, had orchestrated her murder, hoping his secrets and infidelities would remain hidden. But why would he go this far? Detectives believe Clara had discovered Dino's double life and was preparing to leave, suitcase packed and ready when Dino made his deadly decision. At trial, Dino's defense tried desperately to pin the murder solely on Chambers and Young. But evidence mounted, and after 10 grueling hours of jury deliberation, Dino Pantazes was found guilty, sentenced to life behind bars. Yet the story wasn't finished. His conviction was shockingly overturned due to a courtroom misstep. Family tensions ran high. Some even believed Dino innocent. A retrial followed, leading again to a guilty verdict, sealing Dino's fate forever. The Pantazes' perfect life was an illusion shattered by lies, betrayal, and murder. A chilling reminder that even behind the most affluent doors, darkness can lurk. Thank you for joining me on Capital Sins. I'm Mel, reminding you that every city, every neighborhood holds its secrets, and sometimes those secrets are deadly.